It replaced Armistice Day in 1954. And there's a lot of activities going on, a lot of celebrations going on, a lot of reverence being paid to veterans. I appreciate that myself, being a 20-year veteran. But the time that you spend as a veteran is really less significant than whether you are or not, because truly, if you only served 6 months, 180 days on active duty, you wear the moniker veteran for the rest of your life. So again, we believe Digital Studios extends the warmest Veterans Day wishes to all our veterans, and especially their families, because their service wouldn't have been quite possible if it wasn't for the support of so many families and spouses and loved ones and children and so forth. So happy Veterans Day. Starting out on the local level here during this first segment, in Jackson and Hinds County, but really covers, the Central District of Mississippi, after a very close race for the position of Public Service Commissioner. It looks like DeKeither Stamps, 100% of the precincts are reporting, and Democrat DeKeither Stamps, the only Democrat winner, it looks like, is leading incumbent Commissioner Brent Bailey by just more than 2,700 votes. Stamps said he has invited Bailey to begin work on a transition process. Hinds County voters elect new supervisors, and He said we're winning. The people have now spoken. I've invited my opponent right here to the House. I said, come on, let's have a beer. Let's prepare for a proper transition so that there's no misstep in the Central District, that things are working well as we, move the whole state forward. And the incumbent Republican, Mr. Bailey, he said, well, we'll review that opportunity. We'll review that invitation if it comes out around that way. We'll see where it goes. Being accused, Mr. Bailey, the Republicans say, being accused of being a corrupt politician, taking illegal briberies and donations didn't exactly endear me to the opponent, speaking about Mr. Stamps, right at this moment, because there's no fact basis on that. I don't see anybody rolling up here to arrest me take me in for taking those illegal donations, for being the most corrupt person, So he said he's going to take that invitation under advisement. The results of the race have not been certified yet, but it certainly looks like DeKeither Stamps has the votes necessary to declare a victory there. In Hinds County, all kinds of stuff going on about the ballots, and yesterday, this according to WJTV, members of the Hinds County Election Commission spoke out Thursday evening following the ballot fiasco in the general election on Tuesday. Officials said the voting hiccup happened due to the fact that the wrong form for ballot orders was used. They took full account for what happened during the election. That's what they said. Commissioner Shirley Varnado, District 5, said the cause of the issue may be due to the legislature redistricting Hinds County. Hinds County Election Commissioner is investigating ballot shortages. Different ballot styles were sent to precincts, which caused some confusion. While precincts with larger voter numbers received a small number of ballots, smaller precincts received a larger number of ballots. When we did the primary, we called to ask, how do you split when these are new splits? And we've never had the splits before, she said. Normally, when you have splits, you go by the previous election that they have been held in the past. This was all new, she said. So out of in one respect, they take full responsibility for what happened. In the other respect, they feel like they should have been given more guidance due to the splits caused by redistricting. Should have been given more guidance from the Secretary of State's office, and that didn't quite happen. Just another word about this Hinds County election. You know, there is no county in Mississippi that has more registered Democratic voters than Hinds County. There's a little over 164, call it 164,500 eligible, or what the Secretary of State uses the term active, but these are eligible voters in Hinds County. So 165,000. And 64,000 plus cast ballots. So that ends up being a rate of participation of 38.89%, which is much higher than we typically see in Hinds County. 38.89% of people got out there and cast a vote. By many, many standards, it's low. But by the Hinds County, at least in recent years, that's a step up. But a lot of people want to say, well, Hinds County could have pushed Mr. Presley, the Democratic candidate, over the edge, or at least to a runoff. We got to slow down there just a little bit, because the math looks like participation would have had to move from 38.89% to over 50%. Nearly 53% of Hinds County would have needed a vote, and essentially all those extras, that extra 13 plus percent of people would have needed to vote for Presley for that to happen. So to go from a typical turnout of around 30% to 53%, apparently is a tall order. Now that doesn't mean we don't need to dig in harder and keep improving those numbers, but it does look like for this time around, it's just too much. It just would have been too much. We would have been looking for over 23,000 votes. And I know a lot of people were turned around at the polls. Some people got off work to go vote, and then they got ballot shortages, and they had to get back to work. They couldn't come back later. Some people just tired of waiting in lines. There's reports of people waiting in lines over 2 hours. But I'm just one person, but I don't think it was 23,000 people that were turned away or had to leave the long lines or what have it. So the ballot shortages, very unfortunate. A real failure, and need to make sure that failure doesn't happen again, obviously. But that's not what cost it, so you need to look to other counties too, and their participation rates and their numbers. 'Cause again, we would have been over 23,000 votes short of forcing a runoff with the incumbent Governor Tate Reeves. So we move on to a little broader view of the state of Mississippi. We always tell you on every broadcast that today is just another day that the Republican legislature has failed to hold any kind of hearings on the largest fraud corruption case in state history. So in this particular case, this fraud, anywhere from $77 to $94 million, depending on which source you listen to, was pilfered, was stolen. They took federal monies that are intended to provide a safety net for the poorest families in Mississippi, which is the poorest state in the country, and they turned that into a slush fund for their pet projects. 2 Republican governors and their appointees were in on this, and in various parts and pieces, according to all kinds of different reporting and text messages and so forth. But the Republican dominant legislature, which is easily held with this last election, nothing earth-shaking happened to change the Republican majority. But they don't want that talked about, so they're not going to hold any hearings. So that type of thought process, the type of thought process that would allow them to steal other people money that was intended for other people and use it for their pet projects, volleyball stadiums, fitness trainers, a service to a nonprofit radio station, Super Talk, sending former wrestlers to rehab in Malibu, California, some of the most expensive rehabs in the country. Instead of that, going to the poorest families in Mississippi. So under Republican leadership, not only do poor people continue to suffer mightily in this state, but even more so when you steal the federal funds that are intended to provide a safety net for them. Just sinful behavior, and no hearings by the people in the majority party. No hearings. The sentencing for the Rankin County Goon Squad has been delayed to mid-January. Attorneys for this, according to WLBT, attorneys for the officers said they needed more time to evaluate pre-sentencing reports and prepare objections, the judge said. So, how about that? So all 6 of these law enforcement officers, 5 from Rankin County, or 5 from the Rankin Sheriff's Department and 1 from the Richland Police Department, all pleaded guilty. And that in itself is quite a mystery to a lot of people. And so they say they need more time now. So January, postponed to mid-January. So we'll see if that happens. So they can get their sentencing. I bet you they'll be really popular when they get in the big house. That's just too bad, huh? Story out of Brandon, Mississippi. Brandon Mayor Butch Lee and city aldermen have named a new police chief. Joseph French was tapped to replace Chief Wayne Dearman in a special meeting Wednesday. Dearman was fired Monday after serving just 13 months as the Brandon police chief. It's still not known why he was fired. Mayor Butch Lee says French will be sworn in during the November 20th Brandon Board Alderman meeting. The November 20th meeting, the new police chief gets sworn in Brandon. Another lengthy story here. But you know what? We're coming up on just 1 minute to go before we hit our midway point. So let me just start this story on the other side of the break. It's about a whole bunch of money being awarded across the state. It spells good news for lots and lots of people when it comes to the arts. And so We Believe Studios is a huge supporter of the arts, and we would like to tell you about this story. So we'll just dip out now for our couple of commercials, and then we'll be right back with you.
An African-American female-owned newspaper with a trusted voice that is highly respected throughout the city, state, and nation. Our motto, keepers of the knowledge for people who speak the truth, since 1993. Significantly influences the thoughts, attitudes, and buying decisions of its readers. Call us at 601-368-8481 for your advertising needs. If you would like to receive a newspaper in the mail each week, our annual subscription is only $52 per year. That is only $1 per week for you to stay informed regarding many stories that you can only get in the Mississippi Link. Sign up today at themississippilink.com and click on Home Delivery.
And welcome back, everybody, to We Believe Digital Studios for our Newsbreak program. And we're just sharing with you that the Mississippi Arts Commission has awarded $5.2 million starting out now to 34 arts organizations in 23 counties throughout the state. The funding opportunity provided through the Building Fund for the Arts grant supports the repair, renovation, expansion, construction of Mississippi facilities that serve as sites for year-round arts programming in their communities. So I will go through this list. It's going to take a minute, but I want to share with you how widespread this $5.2 million is going to go a very long way. The Mississippi Center for Cultural Production in Hinds County, a big award. The New Stage Theater in Hinds County. The Arts Foundation of Kosciuszko in Attala County. The LV Hull Legacy Center in Forest County. The town of Byhalia in Marshall County. Lynn Meadows Discovery Center in Harrison County, Orr O'Keefe Museum of Art in Harrison County, Jackson State Development Foundation in Hinds, the Piney Woods School in Rankin County. Oh, wow. An arts council, I don't know if I can pronounce that name. Yonaptawapa? Something like, I apologize. It's an arts council in Lafayette County, $191,000 to support development of a humanities hub. I got to work on and learn how to pronounce that name. The City of Houston, Mississippi in Chickasaw County, E.E. Bass Education Development Foundation in Washington County, City of Senatobia in Tate County, the Delta Blues Museum that I've gone to twice, really, really interesting. That's up in Coahoma County. City of Louisville in Winston County, Museum of Mississippi Delta in Lafleur County, DeSoto Arts Institute, DeSoto County. Quitman County Arts Council, Quitman County. Meridian Little Theater in Lauderdale, Brookhaven Little Theater in Lincoln, Craftsman's Guild of Mississippi in Madison, all being awarded thousands and thousands of dollars to make improvements so that they continue to provide the arts on a year-round basis. The Griot Arts Incorporated, or maybe that's Griot Arts Incorporated in Coahoma County, Gulfport Galleria of Fine Art in Harrison, Friends of Lexington Preservation in Holmes, Lundy House Freedom House Project in Lafayette, the Arts Hancock County for a parking and sculpture garden, Tupelo Community Theater, New Albany Middle School in Union County, Delta State University in Bolivar, 100-member Debating Benevolent Association in Hancock, Hancock Performing Arts Center, Biloxi Little Theater, Jackson Public Schools in Hinds, the Link Center in Lee County. So all kinds of money coming in to sustain the arts. And what a beautiful thing in a state like Mississippi to have the arts in abundance. Because there's so many things that are wrong here and that are painful here to so much of our population. You know, we have in Mississippi, the poorest state in the nation, the largest minority population per capita of any other state, 45% minority population. And so there's so much pain and oppression and racism for these people, for 45% of the state's population. And so the arts can help with that. The arts can be a beacon of hope and yearning for a new day here. So all those organizations, 34 of them in 23 counties, being helped. The full report on that comes from WJTV. On the national news front, from NBC News, surgeons at NYU Langone Health have completed the world's first whole eye transplant. Whole eye, eyeball. A groundbreaking advancement many thought was impossible. The patient, Aaron James, 46, a military veteran from Hot Springs Village, Arkansas, cannot see out of the transplanted eye, but he considers the operation a success nonetheless. You've got to start somewhere, he says, and hopefully this will get the ball rolling on future surgeries. So we got an eyeball transplant. The eyeball's not working, but it's been transplanted, and that's better than it has ever been accomplished in that area. Now back to January 6th. We'll never stop talking about it, will we? Like 9/11. Gregory Yetman, he was been on the run. Suspect who was the subject of a manhunt in New Jersey has turned himself in to authorities without incident, according to the FBI. Yetman is 47 years old, charged with several offenses, some felonies, stemming from the January 6th assault on the U.S. Capitol, including assaulting officers, obstruction of law enforcement during civil disorder, entering and remaining in a restricted building or grounds, engaging in physical violence in a restricted building or grounds, and acts of physical violence in the Capitol grounds or buildings. Turned himself in after all this time. How about that? Sad news to report from the former Baltimore City State's Attorney, Marilyn Mosby. I wish I didn't have to tell you this story, but you got to just say it the way it is, you know. Miss Marilyn Mosby was found guilty on Thursday of 2 counts of perjury by a federal jury in Maryland. Mosby, who was Baltimore's highest-ranking prosecutor from 2015 to earlier this year, was found guilty after she falsely claimed she was suffering from, quote, financial hardship, unquote, because of the pandemic, and obtained federal funds illegally. She used the money for down payments on 2 vacation homes in Florida, according to the Justice Department. The Alabama riverboat dock worker who was involved in the brawl, you know, this is the first black man that turned his hat around, threw off his hat. We're going to get down to business with these people. Remember the video over there in Montgomery, Alabama? First one involved in the brawl. Remember then the other younger man jumped in the water and swam over there to help him. It went viral on social media. He's now been charged with assault, according to the Montgomery Municipal Court records. Damian Pickett is due for arraignment on the misdemeanor charge on November 21st. It's unclear if Pickett, who was formally charged on October 27th, has retained an attorney. He was initially identified by the Montgomery police as a victim in an altercation that led to a massive brawl on August 5th at Riverfront Park in Montgomery, Alabama, which began over a dispute about a pontoon boat that was blocking a space, pontoon boat full of white people, blocking a space designated for a riverboat. According to court records reviewed by ABC News, the complainant is Zachary Shipman, one of the individuals who was initially charged in the incident. So one of the guys charged and had a misdemeanor, found guilty of a misdemeanor, is now turned around and charging this man. The altercation initially led to charges against 5 individuals, while Pickett and a 16-year-old boy, that's the one that jumped in the water to swim over there, remember that, were identified as victims by police. So we'll see how this turns out. Wouldn't it be nice if that judge dismissed that case? We'll see. But we'll have to just have to see how that goes. So we just got about 6 minutes left, and I'm going to spend that time trying to share with you the best update I could find. You know, everybody and their brother is telling us about what's going on over there in Gaza, which is the land of the Palestinians, and which is now under full-blown attack by the Israelis, claiming to want to root out Hamas, which attacked them on October 7th, causing widespread death and injury inside of Israel. So, you know, there's a lot of reports. Try to find this encapsulated view here that tells what I hope is the broadest, most fair story about this, because it gets slanted in a lot of different ways. this comes through NBC News. Israeli troops fighting Hamas push deeper into Gaza City, with local health officials and residents reporting intense bombardment and the presence of military vehicles in the vicinity of numerous hospitals. Palestinian health officials said numerous people were wounded when a munition struck the courtyard of the Al-Shifa hospital in Gaza City. The enclave's largest hospital, sprawling hospital complex where thousands of people are sheltering. President Joe Biden welcomed a step in the right direction, quote, step in the right direction, after Israel agreed yesterday to maintain daily 4-hour pauses in its fighting in parts of northern Gaza. Israel under pressure to let Palestinians that have nothing to do with Hamas out of the country and typically into Egypt, which has opened a corridor. So for days, tens of thousands of Palestinian civilians have fled the area through a designated safe route, but the U.S. says, quote, more needs to be done, unquote, to protect them. Netanyahu has said his country does not seek to govern or occupy Gaza after its war with Hamas. But that's interesting words because, I don't even know if Gaza will still exist after this, when this war concludes. But it's just very important a distinction to make. Because the death toll is horribly lopsided, as if it can be fair in war. But more than 1.6 million people have been displaced in Gaza alone, just in Gaza. And health officials say more than 10,800 have been killed. That's as of this morning. Israel reminds that 1,400 were killed in the Hamas terrorist attack on October 7th, just a little over a month ago, and 239 people are still being held hostage in Gaza. So as Israel is in full-scale war against Hamas, they're devastating Gaza. Hostages are believed to be in Gaza, or held in tunnels beneath Gaza. In the meantime, 10,800 Palestinians, which many will say are innocent Palestinians, are being killed as the Israeli Defense Forces attempt to root out the Hamas terrorist organization. I hope that's clear to the viewers, and I hope that's accurate. That's been provided by NBC News. I looked at numerous other stories. We want to try to give you the best on that. This history of fighting between these groups goes back a long, long time. The Bible talks all about Israel and talks all about Palestine, and so it seemed like. This two-party solution, two-state solution has been worked towards for decades, and it just can't seem to come to pass. In the meantime, all this death, all this untold death. So that's it today from We Believe Digital Studios Newsbreak show, and we'll be back with you on Wednesday at 12 noon. Hope you have the best weekend possible. Again, hope the warmest wishes to all our veteran community from We Believe Digital Studios. We'll see you back Wednesday at noon. Take good care of yourselves and each other.